Welcome into the Week 9 Fantasy Recap. Before we get into redraft, just wanted to let you guys know to stay for the whole recap because there's a lot of stuff in the middle and at the very end that is important and relevant to both leagues. So with that, this will probably be a longer one also. So with that, we'll get into redraft. The Stoners 6-3 defeat the Red Carpets 4-5, 140.01 to 95.51. In the very first battle of these expansion franchises, the Stoners eased themselves into the win column with a dominating performance over the Red Carpets. Travis Etienne and Tyreek Hill led the way, combining for 47.87 points. What's more impressive is that the Stoners posted one of the highest scores of the week despite having Nick Chubb and Amari Cooper out on bye and first overall pick Jonathan Taylor out with an injury. The Red Carpets, on the other hand, could have used Giants running back Saquon Barkley, who was out on bye, but only a Joe Mixon-like performance would have saved them. Bills Mafia 6-3 defeats Nico's League 5-4, 185.16 to 111.75. Bills Mafia completely avoids Bye-Mageddon and tallies a whopping 185.16 points in this blowout rivalry week victory over Nico's League. Bears quarterback Justin Fields has himself a field day, pun intended, and combines his throwing and running capabilities to accumulate 43.95 points. Nico's League has a good showing from the quarterback on the winning side of that game, Tua Tagovailoa, but it was all for naught with Bills Mafia's career day. Bills Mafia's 185.16 points easily puts them in the top 5 all-time one-week scoring, slotting them in 4th. It is also the highest total this season so far, beating the Stoners' Week 2 total of 176.54. Washington Rednecks 4-5 defeat Gumpy Glizzies 0-9, 125.26 to 115.22. In what could be considered to be a low-scoring game by this week's standards, the Washington Rednecks put another tally in the win column, this time beating league worst Gumpy Glizzies. Pat Mahomes leads the charge on Sunday Night Football, passing for almost 450 yards in a single game. Dallas Goedert also had a respectable Thursday night with 100 yards and a touchdown on 8 catches against the Texans. Gumpy Glizzies secures their spot out of the playoffs this year, an occurrence seeming to become repetitive. They will be fighting to stay out of the lake for what would be a third time in as many years. Scoob the Delinquent 6-3 defeats Benstille Virginity 6-3, 100.39 to 67.07. Scoob the Delinquent takes advantage of a bye-ridden Benstille Virginity team and secures a victory. Benstille Virginity posted a terrible week, with their 3 wide receivers combining for 4.39 points and their 2 running backs only tallying 2.23. It was expected, though, as they were ravaged by byes, quite literally having everyone on their bench off this week. Though the numbers don't tell the full story, Benstille Virginity's 67.07 points places them as the 8th worst single-week score in league history and the 3rd worst since the franchise joined the league in 2020. Speaking of making history, this is also Scoob the Delinquent's first ever win over Benstille Virginity in the 4 attempts all-time. No pun intended, 6-3 defeats Leftist Tears 2-7, 134.44 to 98.75. In the annual rivalry game and the rematch of last year's championship, no pun intended reigns victorious and puts a beatdown on Leftist Tears, led by who other than Joe Mixon, who has a career day with 153 rushing yards and 5 total touchdowns, accumulating 52.42 points. NPI is attempting to claw back in the all-time series, marking their 5th win over Leftist Tears in the 14 total games played. Into the Week 10 redraft power rankings. As always, starting from the bottom, not moving, at number 10, Gumpy Glizzies. At number 9, staying put, no pun intended. At number 8, not moving, Benstille Virginity. At number 7, not moving, Leftist Tears. At number 6, staying put, the Red Carpets. At number 5, not moving, the Washington Rednecks. At number 4, staying put, the Stoners. At number 3, moving down 1 spot, Scoob the Delinquent. At number 2, moving up 1 spot, Bills Mafia. And staying put at the number 1 spot, Nico's League. Our Week 10 redraft preview. So we're going to do a little Week 10 preview to get everyone ready for the brand new schedule format this year in redraft. Remember that this portion of the recap here, this is only going to be done in redraft, not in Dynasty. So here's a refresher on the redraft schedule format. In Week 10, the top half of the league in scoring will get a win, and the bottom half will get a loss. There will be head-to-head matchups that will count towards your record and all of the league history statistics, but the matchups will be dynamic. The top scorer will play the lowest scorer, the second highest will play the second lowest, and so on. I'll update the matchups based on projected points as the week goes on, so it's easier to visualize who's winning and who isn't. There will likely be like 2 to 4 teams around the middle that will have very close scores, and it will almost certainly come down to Monday Night Football. So essentially everything is the same except the team you're playing against will change dynamically throughout the week. After Week 10, we'll play the conference tournaments, so let's preview that. Conference tournament 1 seeds for the Haskins division, Scoob the Delinquent and the Stoners are at 6-3. If either win and the other loses, the winner will get the 1 seed. If both win, the 1 seed will come down to the points 4 tiebreaker between the two. If both lose, the 1 seed will come down to the points 4 tiebreaker between those two and potentially also Nico's league if they win. In the Hutchinson division, Ben Steeler Virginity, Bills Mafia, and No Pun Intended are all tied at the top. If one of the 3 win and the other 2 lose, the winner is the 1 seed. If 2 win, all 3 win, or all 3 lose, there will be a points 4 tiebreaker for those that are still tied after the week. For the conference tournament 5 seeds, so these are the teams that do not make the conference tournament and their season is over in terms of the playoff run or a shot at the championship. Gumpy Glizzies has clinched the bottom spot in the Haskins division and will not compete in the tournament. And for the Hutchinson division, the Red Carpets and the Washington Rednecks are tied at the bottom of the division. If one wins and one loses, the loser will be solely at the bottom and will not compete in the conference tournament. If both win or both lose, we will refer to the points 4 tiebreaker to decide who will not compete in that conference tournament. Okay, that is it for redraft. Let's get into Dynasty. Remember to stay, though, if you're just listening for redraft, or you can skip ahead. Whatever's fine. So, Dynasty. Sneezy Raccoon 74, 8-1, defeats Prestige Worldwide 4-5. 149.27 to 109.65. Sneezy Raccoon 74 uses a stellar combination performance from Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Waddle to easily cruise past Prestige Worldwide and drop them below 500 on the season. Though it wasn't entirely needed, Derrick Henry and Pat Mahomes posted huge numbers on Sunday night, also to turn this one into a blowout. Tyler Higbee, Dante Foreman, Mike Evans, and Leonard Fournette were extreme disappointments for Prestige Worldwide, still fighting to hang on for a chance to return to the championship game this year. With the win, Sneezy Raccoon 74 locks up the 1 seed in their conference tournament and will get their choice of conference opponent in Week 11. The Scoob Empire, 6-3, defeats I Am They 2-7, 139.63 to 122.94. The Scoob Empire pushes their win streak to 5 games in a row on their way to the victory over the struggling defending champions, I Am They. This time, I Am They didn't disappoint, though, posting a respectable 122.94 points, just unluckily running into the Scoob Empire's hot streak. Even though the Scoob Empire has the second best record in the league, they're in the same division as Sneezy Raccoon 74, so they will not get choice of opponent in Week 11. Nico's Dream Team 5-4 defeats Stratton Inc. 5-4, 128.55 to 79.82. Nico's Dream Team secures an extremely important win and meets Stratton Oakmont Inc. at the top of the leaders division, tied for first at 5-4. Joe Mixon ran the show with 5 total touchdowns and 153 yards on the ground. It may not have been needed, though, as Stratton Oakmont Inc. posted their worst score in recent memory. The points 4 tiebreaker is very close for these two teams, so next week we'll tell the tale on who gets the 1 seed in the leaders division tournament. Cumber Dynasty 3-6 defeats Gump Dynasty 3-6, 124.9 to 100.96. Cumber Dynasty gains an important win over Gump Dynasty to ensure more teams stick around the bottom. Also, Cumber Dynasty gains a game on I Am They, putting them solely at the bottom of the league. Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson led the way with 7 catches for 115 yards and 1 trip to the end zone. The poor performances stacked onto each other for Gump Dynasty, with Mike Gesicki, Brian Robinson, and Gabe Davis combining for only 9.65 points, and their quarterbacks scoring a measly 19.66 combined. Gump Dynasty will play Stratton Oakmont Inc. next week in an important game for the outcome of the league. Our Week 10 Dynasty Power Rankings. Starting at the bottom, not moving is I Am They. At number 7, not moving, Gump Dynasty. At number 6, staying put, Cumber Dynasty. At number 5, moving down 2 spots, Stratton Oakmont Inc. At number 4, moving down 1 spot, Nico's Dream Team. At number 3, moving up 2 spots, the Scoob Empire. At number 2, staying put, Prestige Worldwide. And holding on to the number 1 spot this week is Sneezy Raccoon 74. Moving to the Week 10 Dynasty Game of the Week, Sneezy Raccoon 74, 8-1 versus the Scoob Empire 6-3. With only T. Higgins and Jacoby Myers on bye for the respective sides, this battle of the two of the league's best teams should be a bloodbath. Conference Tournament 1 seeds for Dynasty. Remember, the 1 seeds get to choose their conference opponent in the Conference Tournament semifinals, which is Week 11. In the Leaders Division, it is between Nico's Dream Team and Stratton Oakmont Inc. If one team wins and one team loses, the winner is the 1 seed. If both win or both lose, the points for tiebreaker will settle the 1 seed. And in the Legends Division, Sneezy Raccoon 74 has clinched the number 1 seed and their choice of opponent in Week 11. All right, one last thing. I know this recap is getting a little longer than the other ones, but I just wanted to give a thank you to the league. I wanted to end this recap with this today. As most of you know, I won $10,000 on a daily fantasy entry for the main slate of games this past Sunday. And that win does not happen without this league. This league is what got me into fantasy football and started my passion for it. It's the sole reason why I stay so fantasy sharp over the entire season and the off season. I do a lot of research, not only to play the best lineups week in and week out, but specifically to try and beat all of you guys and win that trophy. And sometimes you guys outsmart me, and my team ends up towards the bottom of the league. But my win on Sunday is completely due to the fact that I have to keep on getting better and better every year to keep up with your skill. I may be looking at like a lake jump this year, but that adversity made me focus even harder to pull out a win like this. I would describe it as a full league win. Because this doesn't happen without you guys, I'll be tossing an extra entry into the pot for both leagues, and I'll update the payout structure sometime soon and let everyone know in an upcoming recap and somewhere in the chat. Let you know about that. So, thanks guys, and thanks for listening to the Week 9 recap. We will see you in Week 10.